Tonight, a mystery involving a groundbreaking musical instrument from decades ago.
So the rumor is part of it was dipped in LSD.
Juliet Goodrich spoke to a KPIX5 staff member who had a trippy way of discovering if the rumor is true.
At Cal State East Bay, this electronic vintage instrument is finally working again. How it got fixed will take you on a long, strange trip.
And new details now.
At the helm of KPIX TV, broadcast ops manager Elliot Curtis tackles all sorts of technical problems. However, recently, a strange electrical transmission threw him for a loop. It happened inside his brain.
It felt like I was tripping on LSD.
It turns out Elliot was indeed tripping on LSD. He got dosed by accident at home in his workshop in front of his wife.
It's super wild. This whole situation is just a next chapter of the history in the counterculture.
Last year, Elliot volunteered to fix a vintage analog music modular instrument.
It's definitely a piece of history.
The device creates electronic music for composers.
Yeah, they're looking for new ways of creating sound.
Cal State East Bay acquired the instrument in the 60s. It fell out of favor and was stored in a cool, dark place for decades.
It was in a closet in the corner of a classroom, which I thought was a little on the sad side because it was like a shipwreck.
On the device, a red-colored module. Elliot opened it and saw something stuck under a knob.
A crust or crystalline residue on it.
He sprayed a cleaning solvent and started to push the dissolving crystal with his finger. 45 minutes later, he began to feel
A strange tingling sensation.
The trip lasted 9 hours. Chemical testing identified the substance as LSD. It turns out this machine has deep roots to the West Coast counterculture. It's called a Buchla 100. It was created by Don Buchla of Berkeley.
I call him the Leonardo da Vinci of electronic music design.
Suzanne Chani is a pioneer in electronic music. She worked with Buchla in the late 60s and 70s when she was a grad student at Cal.
There's no accident that he developed his unique ideas in this crucible of upset and chaos.
In the 60s, Berkeley was the epicenter of political and social unrest.
We were all hippies and there were drugs.
In 1966, some Buchla modules ended up on an old school bus purchased by LSD advocate Ken Kesey. Sounds from them appear to interrupt a KPIX interview.
Go ahead, would you repeat that again?
Buchla used LSD. He was friends with Owsley Stanley, the genius behind the Grateful Dead's sound system. Stanley was also famous for making the purest LSD to ever hit the street. Here he is in 1967, fleeing our cameras outside a federal court after a huge LSD bust in Orinda.
Okay.
The vintage Buchla is now back at Cal State and ready for music students to explore. The device has no keyboard. You play it by turning knobs and patching chords. It can move sound around a room.
And this will open your mind. You know, sometimes I guess the acid will open your mind too.
As to how the LSD ended up on the red module?
And there were a lot of legends.
But few facts. Buchla and Stanley are both dead. No public records exist to shed any light. Close friends tell conflicting stories. Was it to stash the drug, an accidental spill, or a source for chemical inspiration? No one knows. Even so, Chani says what happened to Elliot is astonishing.
It's a little bit like time travel. If you could go back, you know, that would be the way to get there.
One final note, no more trips with this Buchla. It's been cleaned of all LSD. In Alameda County, Juliet Goodrich, KPIX5.
An LSD expert told us that if it's kept in a cool, dry place like this was, LSD could last for decades. And that's how Elliot accidentally doused himself. It's plausible. By the way, he can fix anything, even if he's high. He finished the project wearing gloves.